Okay, so now we've made it to what is really the main solo in Sweet Child of Mine. It's quite long, lots of notes, but it's the third solo in the song. And we're going to take a look at it, but first we're just going to let you know what's going on underneath the guitar solo. We had a little different chord progression than we've had previous in the song. The first progression, this solo is almost like in two parts. One's like a more melodic, slow part with a certain chord progression under it, and then it changes to a faster paced, more intense solo with a likewise more intense guitar progression underneath it. So the first progression you're going to see underneath the solo is this. All right, so it's pretty simple. It's just power chord based off the low E string, your second finger on the 5th fret on the A string. Then come up to the power chord off the C, which is at the 3rd fret on the 5th string, with the 5th fret on the D and the G strings. Hit that twice, then come down to the 2nd fret, same chord shape. Then the power chord built off the A, the open A. So that's going to be open A string, and then the 2nd fret at the on the D and the G strings. So we got this. And you're going to end it like 6th string open, then the 3rd fret on the 6th string with a lot of vibrato on it, and then you start over. And on the 4th time, at the very end, when it gets to the A, it starts to just palm mute it, and you're kind of building up the intensity there to the more intense part of the solo. When the intense part of the solo comes, after you've done that chord progression 4 times, we have this one. Okay? So that starts with the open E again as well. Then up to the G power chord, which is off the 3rd fret on the 6th string. Then the open A power chord. Then the C power chord. Up to the 2 frets to the D. Hit that once. So we have the C twice, D once, and then back down to the G power chord once. So we got... Okay, so you repeat that out until the bridge. All right, so let's take a look at the actual solo here. We're going to start with the neck position pickup, and the beginning of the solo sounds like this. All right, so what we're doing there is we do a whole step bend at the 17th fret on the high E string. Then you're going to pick 15 to 14. And when you pick that 14, you're going to hammer back onto the 15, pull back off to the 14, and slide down to 12. So it goes. So we get this. From there, we're going to play 15, 14. Hammer back onto 15. Pull back off to 14, down to 12, and slide down to 11. And then you're going to pick 12 and 14. So far we have this. Then you're going to do a pre-bend at the 15th fret on the B string, whole step pre-bend, release, and then pick 12 on the B. Then do a pre-bend on the 14th fret on the G string, then pick 12. Then staying on the G string, and you play 11 to 12, down to 14 on the D. Then we're going to come back up. We're going to go. Okay, so that phrase is going to be 11, 12, 14 on the G string, over to 13, and then do a hammer and pull from 12 to 13, back to 12, back down to the 14 on the G. Then you can do a whole step bend at the 13 on the B string. And then you're going to go, you pick 13, then 12 twice. Do a whole step, a half step bend and release at the 12. Down to the 14 on the G string. Then the 15th fret, whole step bend. And release. So we got this slowly. All right, then we have at the 11th fret on the G string, whole step, bend and release, then pick 9 twice. And again. Then a half step, slow bend, bend and release at the 8, then play 11. Then you do a bend and release at the 11th fret and pick 9 again. Then come over to the D string and do this phrase. So that's a half step bend and release. Then play 10 on the D. Then slide 7 up to 9 on the G. Then you come back to doing the bend and release of the half step bend and release at the 11th fret. So we got this so far. Then a half step bend and release again. So what's going on there? We have a half step bend and release, 9. Half step bend and release at the 8, pick 11 again. And then do a whole step bend at 9 and release. Now this is the part in the solo where the more intense guitar part comes in, where the wah pedal kicks in. We're back down to the bridge pickup, but that's an overdub. So this is going on right when that comes in. All right, so now let's get to the more intense part of the solo. We're gonna have this first line, which is built from E harmonic minor. All right, so it's, you gotta be rocking the wah pedal while you go up in this phrase and to really give it the effect that it needs. But we have 13 to 14 on the D string, then 11 to 12, back to 11, it's a hammer pull off. Then back to 14 on the D string, then 11 and 14 on the G. Then we come up to the B string, up to the 12th fret, pick 12, and then pull off from 13 to 12, and then 16 to 12. Then you get to pick 13 to 16 on the beat. Now we're going to hammer on from 12 to 14 on the high E, then come back down to the 16th fret on the B string, and then back to the high E string, 12th fret. Then we're going to pick the 14th fret and slide up to 15. and then pick 12, 14. So far we got then you're going to pull off 15, 14 to 12 on the high E, then play 14 on the high E down to 15 on the B, back to that 14 on the high E. And then do a quick hammer on and pull off from 12 to 14. Come over to the 15th fret B, back to the 12 high E. And in that little phrase, a fast phrase, with a whole step bend and release and pull off to 12. So we have from the all right, so that whole phrase one more time. All right, now we're to the bending, the next phrase, which is going to be sounding this. So we have 15th fret bent, a whole step twice. Then you do a bend and release, pull off to 12, and play 14 on the G string. You're going to do that twice. Then up to the 17th fret, we're going to bend that. So that's bent a few times. Now about the third time, he kind of collects the G string in the bend, which gives it. Okay, and then he'll bend it again. Come over and grab the 15th fret on the high E string. Bend it again, release, bend again, release, pull up to 15, and end it on that 17. So it's just a lot of bending going on that 17th fret, and you grab that 15th fret on the high E right in the middle of it. So it's all right, so come back down to the 12th position now. We have this. All right, so what's basically going on there is we have a little whole step bend at the 15th fret to the 12th fret, pull off 15 to 12 on the B, and then you do a whole step bend and release to the 12th fret, the 14th fret, and pull off to the 12th. Come down to the 14th on the D string. Come back to that 14 and do a whole step bend and then grab that 15. We've seen that lick earlier. This oblique bend. You grab that 15 on the B string and then come back down and play 14 and 12. Then bend that 14 again. This time kind of bar your pinky across the 15th fret on the B and the high E string. Sometimes you're going to be bending and hitting just the B string, but sometimes you're going to catch that high E string. All right, so from there, we do this little phrase. So it's a pretty simple little phrase. It's got some muting in here. We're going to do a pull off from 14 to 12, come down to on the G string, come down to 14 on the D string, and go back to the 12, the 14, 12 on the G string. So we get. Then you're going to mute the D string with probably your third finger and pick it twice. It just kind of gives it the rhythm, gives it a nice little groove in the solo. So we got this. And then you're going to play the 12th fret, slight bend, and then you're going to do a pull off from 14 to 12, back to 14. So we got this. Okay, and the next phrase, and that's just going to be a hammer to 14, pull off to 12 on the G string. And And you're going to do the muting on the D string, play that 12 again, and then do the hammer and pull off, the pull off, then the hammer on the 14, 12 on the D strings again. All right, then we have this phrase that we start building up here. It goes. So that's kind of a repetitive lick. It's got a lot of tension building in it, so it's pretty cool. So it's going to start picking 12 twice. They're kind of in groups of 4, but the first one's always hit twice. So we're going to pick that 12 twice on the G string, then pull off 14 to 12 on the D. Then we're going to pick 14 twice on the G string, pull off to 12, and then hammer back on 14. Then come over to the 12th fret on the B string, pick that twice, and then pull off from 14 to 12 on the high in the G string. Then you're going to pick 15 on the B string twice, pull off to the 12th fret, and then come down to the 14th fret on the G string. So far we have. Then pick 12 twice on the high E string, pull off 15 to 12. Then pick 15 twice on the high E string, pull off to 12, and play 15 on the B string. And then you're going to end it with a quick hammer on, pull off 12 to 15, back to 12, down to 15 on the B string. And then you got the 12th fret here on the. You're going to kind of bend into that note, and then we're going to start this new kind of blues lick here, which is going to be repetitive. It's going to be like this. All right, you're going to do that 4 times. So here's what it is. You're going to go whole step bend at the 15th fret, pick the 12th fret on the high E. So that whole step bend was on the B string, by the way. Then pick that high E. Then pull off 15 to 12. And then you're going to do a whole step bend at the 14th fret on the G string. And then you're going to go back to the high E string and then pull off 15 to 12. And then that's the lick. So we got. And then you're going to do it 4 times total. You're going to end it with a step and a half bend off the 15th fret on the high E string. And then you pick 15, I'm sorry. And then do a hammer on from 12 to 15, back to 12. 15 on the B, back to 12. So we got the. And we just got some playing around here on the 3rd string here. And then you end the solo with just the 12th fret kind of slid down. Okay, so that's it for the main solo. It's got a lot of notes in it. It's easier to just kind of break it down in bite-sized pieces and then slowly just kind of piece everything together. Okay, so up next we're going to take a look at the bridge and the outro solo. Stay tuned.